Hey guys, Ben here and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about The Flash Season 9. We are just days away from The Flash Season 9 premiere, so there's lots of articles that have been released and lots of new teasers. We're going to be going through one very important one that teases some very big characters returning to the show. So if you do go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and a comment and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future DCTV videos later this year. Okay, so as I said, today is the 5th of February. In 3 days time, The Flash is going to be releasing its first episode of its final season, that being episode 1 of season 9, of course. I'm very excited for the episode. Of course, we're going to be covering it as we lead up to Wednesday when it premieres, and we're going to have a video review out right after the episode finishes, so stick around for like an hour after the episode and then you'll see my review before you go to sleep. So yeah, very excited about all of this, but today we got to break down this Entertainment Weekly article that was just posted a couple of days ago. And so the title of the article is "The Flash brings back 3 major characters for final season." And so Entertainment Weekly has exclusively learned of these returning characters and these returning actors for season 9. The link will be in the description below if you want to go read the Entertainment Weekly article that we're going to be talking about. So it goes like this: a few familiar faces are speeding back to The Flash for the upcoming final season. EW is exclusively announcing the returns of Rick Cosnett, Matt Letcher, and Jessica Parker Kennedy for season 9. So there you go, that is the official confirmation that all 3 of them are going to be returning. Obviously they play very important characters. Also, it's interesting that they announced that Jessica Parker Kennedy is coming back, but they haven't announced that Jordan Fisher is coming back. We'll have to wait and see as to what's going on there. But for now, let's go ahead and break down what Eric Wallace teases in this interview that he does with Entertainment Weekly. So he goes on to say this: "We're so excited to have Rick join us once more as we put together our final batch of emotional and thrilling episodes. It's especially wonderful as Rick was an integral part of the show's inaugural season, so having him return to help us conclude our show's incredible 9-year run was more than a privilege. It was a no-brainer." And then they go on to say, as one of the original stars of The Flash, Cosnett played Eddie Thawne before he was killed off in the season 1 finale. The actor previously returned and reprised his roles in season 2, 3, and 8. Obviously, we previously just saw him in season 8, so that was a pretty big deal when he came back. And so let's talk about him here, because that's what we've got to go on. And so Rick is coming back. Obviously, he's going to be playing Eddie Thawne, and there was actually some leaks the other day. Rick Cosnett was actually placed on the set in Vancouver, so he's back, and he's in a very special episode because that's the episode where I talked about it in a recent video, where basically Barry's going back in time to when he was either very young or before he was born. We aren't 100% sure, but the clothes that his parents are wearing in the scenes that they were filming, that being played by Michelle Harrison and John Wesley Shipp, are very similar to the clothes that they were wearing on the night that Reverse Flash and the Flash had the fight in their house, which led to Nora's death. And so that's obviously very important, but the main important thing was that Rick Cosnett was there and he was his normal self. And you have to remember, he's not much older than Barry, and so he would have been very young, so why is he there as his normal self? That is a big red signal. So we can kind of figure maybe the story has something to do with him, and he could in fact not be Eddie Thawne, but could be Cobalt Blue. Or there's been some theories going around that they could be doing the switch at birth thing, whereby he's actually Malcolm Thawne, but in the show he's Eddie Thawne, and so maybe he was a twin of Barry. If you guys have read the comics, you know about that. So that's our theory as to why Rick Cosnett is back, but let's talk about the return of Matt Letcher. Obviously Matt Letcher was in the last season. We had a very great new version of Reverse Flash. Well, in this case, he was actually just Matt Letcher playing Eobard Thawne, and he was a good version of Eobard Thawne. So this is what Eric Wallace says: "Having the incredibly gracious and talented Matt Letcher return for our final season was something we couldn't resist. So we created a very special story for him, one we've been excited to tell for a while, but couldn't until now. The result is a wild and bittersweet episode we hope fans both old and new will love." And so in addition to The Flash, Letcher has appeared on various other Arrowverse series series, playing various versions of Eobard Thawne and the Reverse Flash. He most recently returned in the Flash's last season. So yeah, he's coming back, and what Eric Wallace is teasing is really interesting, and this plays into how we think the season is going to end. And it must be said, I don't think Matt Letcher has been spotted up in Vancouver yet, so his episode is going to be pretty late in the season, and I believe they're making the final touches to the finale in terms of scripting because they haven't got there yet. But obviously recently they did episode 9, that was the return of Oliver Queen and Kid Flash and everyone else that was in that episode, including John Diggle and Bloodwork. So then they moved on to episode 10, and that is the episode that we were just talking about, where we see the return of Eddie Thawne, but it could be a different version of Eddie, and it seems like Barry's time traveling as well in that episode, so clearly it's an important episode. Then after episode 10 we have 11, 12 and 13, that's 3 more episodes, and so we can presume from what we know that Matt Letcher is probably going to show up in one of those final 3 episodes, and it's going to be a big deal. And so let's analyze what Eric Wallace has teased, because I think it says a whole lot about what's going to be happening in the episode when Matt Letcher returns. So he says, we created a very special story for him, one we've been excited to tell for a while, but couldn't tell until now. Now what does that tell you guys? We know that Matt Letcher, he plays Eobard Thawne. We saw a good version of him last season, and in the past we've always seen bad versions of him. Well, why couldn't they tell the story? Well, clearly it was something that was meant to happen towards the end of the show. And if we go back to how the show started, with Reverse Flash and the Flash facing off against each other, obviously we have the original timeline version of the Flash facing off against Matt Letcher's Flash. It must be noted it was Matt Letcher who killed Barry's mum, so he is the version of Reverse Flash that we will see if we ever go back to that night. And I think that's in fact exactly what's going on, and that's why they have this very special story that they wanted to tell for a while but couldn't tell until now, because we're going to go back to that night where Nora was killed, and we're going to see our present day version of Barry run back, and he's going to be that original Flash that we saw back in season 1. And so I think Matt Letcher is back for that story. He's going to be playing that version of Thawne that we've seen since the very start of the show. And so the result, as Eric Wallace teases, is a wild and bittersweet episode we hope fans both old and new will love. Now what is he emphasizing there? It's going to be a bittersweet episode. It's always bittersweet when we go back to that night that Nora was killed, because as we experienced in Flashpoint at the start of season 3, Barry obviously tried to correct that, but things didn't turn out for the best, and he had to actually go back and let it all happen. And so that was clearly bittersweet. I think that's one of the most bittersweet story beats in the whole show. And so I think that is definitely what he is talking about. And he also teases it's going to be a wild episode that fans will love, both old and new, emphasizing the old and new, so people that have been there since the start, and it's been an episode that they've been wanting to do for a while. And the fact that it's wild, what's more wild than going back in time and having the Flash and Reverse Flash face off against each other as we relive what we've already seen before. So I think that's exactly what is going on, just based on this description and everything that we know about how the Flash is supposed to end, because really that is what started everything, and we've always expected that by the end of the show, in the final season, we would go back to that night and actually relive it from a different perspective. And so I think the time has come, because we're in the final season and they're going to want to try and wrap this up properly, and they know they have to do this. They have to go back to that night one more time. And so I think this is a perfect way to do it, and I'm very confident that this is the reason why Matt Letcher is back. Let me know, what do you think about that in the comments down below? Do you agree with my theory? Okay, so the next person that's going to be returning is Jessica Parker Kennedy as XS, aka Nora West Allen. So The Flash has always been a show about the importance of family, Eric Wallace says. So having the incredible Jessica Parker Kennedy back as fan favourite speedster XS was always in the cards. As the daughter of Barry and Iris, Jessica's already made an unforgettable mark on our show's history. With her latest season 9 adventure, Jessica's taking her incredible portrayal of Nora West Allen to even greater heights in a way the audience has never seen before. And so they go on to say that Kennedy first debuted in the Arrowverse during the Crisis on Earth X crossover and in season 4 of The Flash. And so then she obviously revealed her identity, and she's been in many seasons since, including the last season. And so we have been expecting this. Obviously this is a big deal, and the kids have always been a big deal since season 4 and especially season 5, and since Bart showed up recently. And so this show, obviously, as Eric Wallace teases, has always been about the importance of family, so it just makes complete sense that she's back. And apparently, according to the showrunner, Nora is going to soar to even greater heights during her final appearances on the show, apparently in a way that the audience has never seen before. So that makes me curious. I wonder, how is it going to be different from all the times she's appeared before? Well, clearly there's some time travel involved, considering that she's around. We know that Barry's going to do some time traveling this season, so maybe they do cross paths in some way, but also there is many other ways that they can get her back. And I really wonder if we're going to get Bart this season. Like, I don't have any inside information, I haven't paid too much attention, like I might have missed something, but I haven't heard much about Jordan Fisher this season, but you can only hope that they come back together. Okay, so want to remind you guys, season 9 of The Flash will premiere Wednesday, February 8th at 8 PM Eastern Time on the CW. Obviously, in the meantime, we're going to get a lot more teasers, so we're going to continue to make videos over the next 3 days as we lead towards the first episode of the final season. There will be a sneak peek probably on the night before, so I'm going to be breaking that down for sure. So please be sure to go nowhere, because we're going to have so much to break down. And clearly this season is going to be a hell of a season, and so you're going to not want to miss out on any of the breakdowns, because right now I can't even count how many returning characters are coming back. Also, the one big person that we didn't mention and that hasn't been announced yet, although the actor did talk about it, was Carlos Valdez. He's actually not been announced yet. Like, they've announced everyone. They announced Stevens coming back as Oliver Queen. Then you have David Ramsey coming back as John Diggle. Now we have Matt Letcher, Rick Cosnett, and Jessica Parker Kennedy, but they have not announced Carlos Valdez coming back, so I really wonder what's going on. Like, is there a chance that he doesn't show up? That is the big question going on in my mind after all of these announcements, because it just makes no sense. Like, unless he's full to the brim and can't make up any time to go up and shoot anything, it's kind of crazy. Like, surely they're pushing for this if they're pushing for so much else in this final season. But yeah, so that pretty much does it for this video, guys. If you did enjoy the video and you want to help out the channel, please be sure to leave a like and a comment. Tell me what you think about all of this, and are you excited for the season premiere of The Flash Season 9, aka its final season. Also, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos, because as I mentioned, we're daily uploading right now, so be on the lookout. And for now, you can click on the top right corner of the screen to watch my latest video, and so I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.
I see red.